Turning up the video. We have not accomplished anything in the last mission, but we have not died yet. Here comes the most fun part of the video. Uncle Kimo continuing. Yes. You can keep the sneaking to yourself, thank you. Because it does not help the situation. Alright. Yes, the visibility is good. Okay. So, yeah, do we see the airfield here somewhere? Not really. Okay, fantastic. We are flying over the forest. That's always good. Let's get the thingamajig down using pressing the Y key. Okay, we pressed it. Fantastic. It's great. Now, we kind of cheated, but okay. We now are going to do landing flappy thing, and we are actually on a decent approach here. So let's ask them, make it official. Stop snickering and start praying now. We're actually not doing that badly. The wind is horrible though. You can see how it's shaking like you wouldn't believe. Okay, now we're going to try to put this straight down the best we can, which is just horrible. It's 200, which is probably too fast, I'm assuming. Maybe not. Maybe not too fast. Actually, I'm kinda sorta shocked at what's going on in this video because, well, there is no fire, there is no fireball, and well, we have actually kinda sorta landed. Which is shocking. I mean, this happens once every 20 years. So, me putting this down. Okay, let's clear up the landing field for those guys because they will try to land, and them landing on top of me is probably bad. So, let's go in front of those hangars so the ground crew can tow us to where the heck we need to go. But let's yeah, look at that, it's beautiful. Yeah, the visibility as we see as we landed here is horrendous. We're going way too fast now. That was kind of scared I was going to crash. Yeah, we are going to now park it in front of this structure, or the next one on the left. Yes, that's great. Okay, let's say that this is ours. There's no way to go backwards, of course. All right. Let's turn up the engine. Let's put the chocks in. Let's open the canopy. Haha, trick question. There is no canopy. This bad boy does not have it. I will show you something else with this mod though. I'm looking at this airplane on my right. Look at this bad boy now. See it? You see it? He has his head turned to the right, exactly how my head tracker is going. So it actually tracks where we are looking. So looking towards the top there, right? We are now looking towards the top and to the right. You can see that this mod and this game is fantastic. Anyway, out of curiosity, let's see if it's landed. You can see, okay. I will not probably wait till everybody lands because it's a bunch of them, a crap load of them. So let's end the video. Well, actually no, end the mission. And let's take a look at what we are flying with and against. I actually landed, hooray! I-153, M62. Holy crap, we really obliterated them. The Frederick II we know about. That's shocking that the enemy AI was this bad. I'm going to check the thingamajig in the campaign and see if we can change the difficulty, because this is way too easy for us. We should be dying left and right. But anyway, let's apply it and let's see the I-153 M62 in this game. We actually ended the campaign here, I think. We are now in Smolensk. We will have a different plane. Hooray! Okay, but first let's check something as promised. Let's do some history. I-153 should be here on my where is it? Where are you? You are supposed to be I-153. Yes, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be in red. I-16. Okay, here it is. It's a chaika, which means a gull. It's a type of bird, which is not like a falcon or an eagle, a predatory bird. It's a nice, peaceful bird, and this pretty much describes this airplane in this game, not War Thunder Arcade. In this game, you know, realism. It's a biplane. It's very maneuverable. It has a decent engine. Did I say it's maneuverable? It's extremely maneuverable. It's extremely agile. You can see 424 kilometers per hour at 5,000 meters. It's not that bad. The only problem is that the way these guys were built in airplane factories, factories building airplanes, the people who are building them were not really great at it because they were never taught to build airplanes. They were usually doing some things like the tractors and stuff like that, and tanks. And aerodynamics in tanks and tractors do not really matter much. If a screw or pieces of stuff were set at the kind of wrong angle, BT-7, T-34, or a tractor, nobody cared. Nobody cared. However, with airplanes, you need finer precision, because if a screw is loose a little bit, or it's sticking out, or a part is set at a wrong angle, which they were, the airplane designs were fantastic in the Soviet Union in 39, 40s, 41, you know, all the way to 45. But especially in the beginning of the war and before the war, the people who were doing the actual work on building the airplanes in factories, they had no idea what they were doing. Quality control was abysmal. People were being shot for sabotage because some fighters were, the pilots were starting them and the engine did not start. Remember that video? Or, there was so much smoke that you couldn't see anything. Pilots were getting hot in the cockpits because the airplane engine was running so hot that it was overheating the plane, and the plane was literally disintegrating in the air. It was that bad. Later on, 42, 43, they got more quality control people in. They tightened up the procedures. By that time, the people who were working in the factories, women and children, truthfully, they kind of knew what they were doing. So they were doing a much better job. That's why the airplanes in the later part of the war, you don't hear the Soviet Russian pilots, Soviet really, in their memoirs in past 43, 44, 45 saying, hey, my airplane was crap. Whereas in 41, 42, they're saying, hey, they were not tuned correctly. The airplane is crap. It's not aerodynamic. I read a memoir of a fighter guy, Russian fighter guy, who said, the commanding officer was screaming at him on the radio, hey, where are you? Why are you lagging behind me? You're supposed to protect me. You're my number 2. And he couldn't reply, but he wanted to. He wrote in the book that, hey, the commander's crate is worked on by the best ground crew in the squadron, whereas my crate is worked on by crappy guys, and they didn't tune it up correctly. So it flies differently. It has different speeds, different power engine, even though it's the same airplane. So it all makes a difference. And this is reality. That's how it was in World War II for these guys. So the guys who are screaming at you in the missions, every mission basically, where the heck are you? Get on my tail, fly information. That's pretty much realistic. Okay, let's look at this Chaika. Look at the armament. 4 Shkas machine guns, 4 50 caliber machine guns, you know, like a Browning M2 Soviet version, or 220s. So it has 4. So it has 4 machine guns and 220 millimeters. Those that's pretty hefty firepower considering the F2s, the Messerschmitt 109's F2s have a 50 millimeter, a single cannon like that. So another thing I want to talk about at the end of the video, and hopefully you guys like it, is history of these things. Not just these things, but what Soviet Air Force was all about pre-war. Why did they have these planes when they had I-16s and then Lag-3s, which you're going to see later? Why did they have these Chaikas? Well, at the beginning of the war and before, all the nations in the world, well, the major nations, those that could afford it, were having a decision to make. Japan, United States, Soviet Union, France, UK, they didn't know how the new air war would play out. And World War I was all about maneuverability. It was all about how agile your plane was. If you were under attack, you wanted to roll and turn as tight a radius as possible to get out from the gun so they could overshoot you, and then you could get on their tail, and when they were trying to shake you off their 6, your agile plane like this one could stay on their ass and just pour those 20 millimeter or Shkas or 50 cal slugs into them. So many nations, and now we know that's not true, but for example Japan throughout World War II, all up to 43, 44, we were only interested mainly in maneuverability, in agility of the plane. They wanted them to turn. They wanted range and turn. They said speed was secondary. Whereas Germany and then America in 43, 44, actually America in 41 was also agility, those Brewster Buffaloes and stuff like that, very agile airplanes. So for example, Germany, as opposed to Japan, they said, no, speed is important. That's why Messerschmitt 109s were all about the speed. Yes, they were agile, and they were quick to turn at high speeds, but when they slowed down to Chaika speed or I-16 speed, it started doing maneuvers to catch up to them, to shoot them down. They slowed down, and when they slowed down at slower speeds, those Chaikas, the I-153 and I-16, they had those Messerschmitts. So German pilots were taught repeatedly, drummed into their heads, guys, do not slow down. As regards turning ability and agility, I-16 and especially I-153, yes, they're crap, but once you slow down to their speed, it's harder to get that speed back, energy back. They will have you. You do boom and zoom, you do high-speed attacks, slashing attacks, and then you have them. If you miss them, don't turn too much after them. Okay, get up, get some altitude, go above them, get some speed, escape from the gun radius, and then come back high speed, do another attack and attack until they're shut down. Because once you slow down, those obsolete, quote-unquote, Soviet planes like I-16s, they will have you. They're much more maneuverable, and they have actually superior firepower. The Germans were shocked at how modern those designs were, because they were supposed to be crap. So, going back to this story that I was weaving here, true story, true history really, was Germany said, okay, we want high speed, because speed dictates combat, air combat. If you can't shoot them down, you can at least escape from them to live another day, right? The Soviets, because they were such a huge country, they had so many resources, they said, both of these things, strategies, have merit. So we're going to have 2 types of fighter planes, 2 main types. One is going to be extremely maneuverable. And those were the fighters like this, the I-153, the Chaika. They will be kind of like World War One style combat. They will be agile, hard to hit, agile. Turning radius is fantastic. If they, Me-109s had trouble shooting them down because they could just outturn them so quickly in their defensive maneuvers. And yes, they're slower, but lower down on the ground, on the deck, where the enemy Yabos, the fighter bombers, are laden with bombs. Those things are dangerous. So those are the agile ones. And the Soviets also said, well, other nations say that we need fast, as opposed to agile, there should be stuff that should be very fast and do those slashing attacks. So those two things will work in synchronicity. They will be synchronized. At least that was the theory. So the I-16s were the fast ones. And then the Lag 3s, and, well, not from 43, from 41. Those things were supposed to be the fast ones, and then they improved them with MiG-3, especially in 1940. You can see those were more modern looking, and actually MiG-3, you can see how it works, because this is the high altitude interceptor. So what we have here is with I-153 Chaika on the ground, well, close to the ground, World War I dogfighting style. Then we have I-16s, right? We can see different engine here. Those were the mid, not high, not strategic level height, not bomber height, but more like close to the ground, not as close as I-153. And then we have the high altitude interceptor. So we can see that the Soviet Air Force before the war, they covered all the bases. They covered all the bases, and they weren't backwards. I mean, this is not a backwards looking plane. Granted, when you do it badly in the factory, when you work on it in the factory and you do stuff that, this screw here is sticking out of the wing and stuff like that, well, then obviously the speed and the turning radius, everything will be affected, but that's not the fault of the designer. Yeah, that's the fault of the people who are working on the airplane. Actually, the system, the whole communist system, the way they set it up under Stalin, because they set it up so you produce as much as you can, and we don't need to train our people will learn on the job, whether they're soldiers or factory workers, and it didn't work out too well in 41 for them. They had thousands, tens of thousands more tanks, tens of thousands in number-wise of airplanes. They had a crushing superiority in tanks and an incredible superiority in the number of airplanes, of war airplanes, and it didn't matter, because first they were surprised on the ground in Barbarossa. Stalin did not believe that anybody would be stupid enough to go after his armed forces, which were so crushingly superior to the German ones and the Axis ones. Let's not forget Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Italy. As regards the Western or East Front for Russia and Germany, respectively. So they didn't think that, with this crushing superiority, we will be the one, the Soviet Union will be the one who will do the attacking, and we are ready. We have high altitude interceptors, we have medium height, fighters, and then we have the ground level dogfighters who will just catch anything that tries to escape from the other ones. So, don't say that the Soviet Union was, backwards. It was backwards on many levels, but not in regards to weapon design. Okay, enough of my history. Ending the video now. Let's see what the next mission is.